Welcome to the session number 3 of Product Lifecycle Management, Module number 1, Introduction to PLM and PDM for 8th semester Mechanical Engineering students. These are the main course outcomes and then course objectives. We have already discussed in Module number 1 and 2. Then these are the main outline of this module number 1. Already discussed about introduction to PLM, need for PLM, opportunities and benefits of PLM, different use of PLM we'll discuss in session number 1, and then components of PLM, different phases of PLM, that is models in PLM feasibility study, and then PLM strategies, implement of PLM strategies we will discuss in session number 2. Now directly we will go for development of PLM strategy, remaining chapters in module 1. That is we will go for developing a PLM strategy. Developing a PLM strategy to achieve the PLM vision is a 5-step process as described in the following. First one is collecting information, another one is identifying the possible strategies, selecting a strategy, communicating the selected strategy, and finally planning the PLM strategy. These are the main 5-step process in developing any PLM strategy. We will discuss one by one. First we will take collecting information. Here this is the first step of this developing a PLM strategy. The information with which the strategy will be developed is collected and assembled. A PLM strategy can be developed by understanding fully the activities and resources in the product life cycle. The understanding must be based on factual information rather than guessing information and opinions. As the PLM vision already contains information about the future, most of the information to be collected must address the current situation in the below scenario. The associated targets, the customers and innovations, objectives, strategies, details of the resource, revenue resources, capabilities, strengths and weakness. Another one is the environment in the company, in the industry and in the market. And then key factors for success is nothing but trends, opportunities and threats. And then second process in developing a PLM strategy is identifying possible strategies. In second phase is the second step in developing a PLM strategy. Several potential strategies are identified, formulated and described in terms of resources and the organization and policies to be applied to the resources. The strategies chosen for PLM have to meet the objectives of the company, at the same time be clear and simple to avoid being complex and confusing for its implementation, thereby leading to its failure. Next we will go for selecting a strategy. Here selecting a strategy, it is a third step, and then in this potential strategies are evaluated and tested, and the most appropriate strategy is selected and documented. This is ascertained by conducting a SWOT analysis. SWOT means strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat analysis. It is important that the analysis be carried out on the basis of facts and opinions rather than guesses and theoretical assumptions. Next, we'll go for communicating the selected strategy. A strategy becomes useless unless the people who are going to be involved are fully aware of it, can understand and implement it. The fourth step involves communicating the chosen strategy to the people who will be affected or involved, vice versa. Product developers, field engineers, customers, company managements, suppliers, regulatory organizations, and so on. And then last, developing a PLM strategy is nothing but planning the PLM strategy. This is the fifth step involves detailed planning followed by PLM implementation. The PLM strategy report must contain a plan showing how the strategy will be implemented over the length of the total duration for implementation. The structure of the plan should follow that for the PLM framework, making it easier for managers and other to see how all the issues are linked and will be addressed. The plan will be also show the details of the participating people and the manner in which the activities are managed by them. These are the 5 developing PLM strategies. Next, we'll go for elements of PLM strategy. Here, in this, there are 4 basic elements that are part of a strategic plan for PLM. We'll discuss one by one. First one is a vision of tomorrow, and then a realistic assessment of today, plan for bridging the gap between the reality of today and vision of tomorrow, required capabilities and resources to carry out plans. These are the 4 elements that are part of strategic plan for PLM. We will discuss one by one. First, we will take the vision of tomorrow. The most important component of strategic plan is a vision of tomorrow, which provides people to think about the organization's purpose and aspirations of the future. It provides a plan and direction in accomplishing anything new in future. PLM benefits from an approach like this because it is only when we take a new and discontinuous look at the future that we might pursue novel and creative uses of information that are most simply extrapolations of what has been done in the past. And then we'll go for next element, that is realistic assessment of today. In order to plan a vision for tomorrow, there needs to be a realistic assessment of today. Being unrealistic and delusional about our current situation and capabilities may give a faulty starting point towards the company's vision of tomorrow. The strategy is to develop and maintain all the necessary information about the people, product, and customers, competitors, market, and government initiatives in order to make informed decisions for the changing environment. Next, we'll take bridging gap between reality of today and vision tomorrow. In this element, the plan of bridging the gap between the reality of today and vision of tomorrow is to be include three aspects in this people, process, practices, and technology. All the three elements here people, process, practices, and technology. These are the three elements. All these three elements have to come together in a coordinated plan for an organization to get from where it is today and where its vision is for tomorrow. That is the main thing. All of these elements are required if the organization is to make this transition. Either one of the elements is not addressed, the entire plan suffers. And then last one of PLM strategy element is required capabilities and resources to carry out plans. In this resources are needed to enable the plan for PLM, while capabilities are required to ensure the plan for PLM. Organizations need to have assessment of their internal capabilities and a realistic view of what their competitors, customers, and governments are doing. If they do not have any resources and capabilities to carry out the plan, there is a little possibility of their realizing their vision of the future. These are the four main elements of PLM strategy. Next, we'll go for identification of PLM strategies. Here, while developing a PLM strategy, several potential strategies are identified, formulated, and described in terms of resources and organization and policies to be applied to the resources. Some candidate strategies for PLM will be apparent from the organization's current and previous strategies, from those of competitors and other market players, and from reading about military and business strategies. Sometimes a new strategy will be developed. In some cases, a candidate strategy will be close linked to the company's business strategy, like cost leadership, follow low cost variety, fast response time, partnering, and process based on the strategies. For example, we will take a cost leader will be more interested in reducing manufacturing costs than developing market leading functionally for its products. Further, a strategy might be based on customer focus. In many cases, candidate strategy will be developed by a pick and mix approach to strategies found by the above method. Whatsoever may be underlying focus, the strategies chosen for PLM have to meet the objectives of the company and at the same time be clear and simple to avoid being complex and confusing for its implementation, thereby leading to its failure. By identifying a PLM strategy, a company can be made to follow a path with the greatest chance of success, as measured by revenue growth and meeting the challenges presented by the business environment, including the competitions. Next, we will go for selecting PLM strategy. Here, uh, all the potential strategies formulated, the most appropriate strategy that suits for present organizations business activities needed to be selected and documented. However, selecting the appropriate strategy is based on the depth understanding and testing of all the possible strategies. This is ascertained by SWOT analysis. There is nothing but strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats analysis. Different authorities on strategy development use the SWOT analysis in different ways. More often, the strength and weakness applied to the organizations for which the strategy being developed, or it may be defined for competitors also, while the opportunities and threats are those of the current and future environment. Strength and weakness are considered internal factors of the organization that are not affected outside interventions. The organizations can easily act upon the characteristics of strength and weakness. Here, the SWOT analysis depends on asking questions and finding answers related to each factors. These are the main factors you have to consider: strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Is nothing but SWOT analysis. We'll discuss one by one. Strength refers to factors within our control and allows to have an advantage over others. What are the advantages of products or service? And then what are the product advantages over similar competitors in market? What strength point do people see in the product or service? What are the product's unique selling factors? These are nothing but strength. And then weakness. In weakness, the negative factors within our control and that can put as at a disadvantage over others. What weakness could be improved in design? What issue should be avoided? What are the factors that reduce product sales? Does the production process have limited resources? That means these are the negative factors within our control that can be put as at a disadvantage over others. And then next we'll discuss about opportunities. The positive factors that are out of our control and that could have an effect on us. These are what are the opportunities for a new product? What are the technological trends to take advantage of? How can we turn strength into opportunities? Are there are changes in the market or government which can lead to opportunities? Is there any gap in the market that is not being covered, leading to an opportunity for the business? And then last one in SWOT analysis is nothing but threats. It is a negative factor that are outside of our control and that could have an effect on us. In that, who are the existing or potential competitors? And then what are the factors that can put business into risk? What issue can threaten and product on the market? Will there any shifts in customer behavior, government or market that can affect the product success? The analysis should be as complete as possible, looking into all areas of relevance to the organization. A complete list would include information about customers, competitors, suppliers, technology, product, cost, cycle times, quality, information, computer systems, management of change, human resources, etc. It is important that the analysis be carried out on the basis of facts and opinions rather than guesses and theoretical assumptions. Once the SWOT analysis has been carried out, the next step is to select the best strategy and full document it. This is about some SWOT analysis. Next, implementation of PLM strategy. Here, PLM is not something can be implemented overnight, and as result, what is defined today may not be appropriate tomorrow. The present section deals with how PLM strategies should be defined and implemented in a sustainable manner, one that naturally addresses any change. Enterprise resource planning is a part of PLM and implemented in any organizations for its successful operation. Thus, we can look into system to see what separated successfully successful implementation from unsuccessful ones. The top management in this there are 5 success factors that are isolated from companies that are successful in enterprise resource planning is something but ERP project against those that were not successful. In this implement FALM strategy, these are the main factors to be considered, and then these are the main 5 major. And then top management is engaged, not just involved. Project leaders are veterans and the team members are decision makers. And then third parties fill gap in expertise and transfer knowledge. Change management goes hand in hand with project management. A satisfying mindset prevails. These are the main 5 success factors that are isolated from companies that were successful in enterprise resource planning project against those that were not successful. We will discuss one by one. First, we will take top management is engaged, not just involved. This is the first one, and then in this, the engage, the engagement and involvement are 2 different things. Top management involving director, senior management, vice president, CEO, etc. should engage themselves in taking initiatives about cross functions, allocation of resources, decision about expanding resources and responsibilities. In many cases, top management never attend any of the meetings of the committee, instead simply sends their delegates who represent the executive on the committee. In order to implement PLM initiatives, real decisions about cross-functional allocation of resources and responsibilities have to be made effectively. From the perspective of entire organization, final decision on how to reallocate resources so that the minimal amount of resources spent for the task will have to be made by the top management. If the top management is not engaged in making these decisions, status quo prevails and no changes occurs. Top management should take initiatives to boost revenue opportunities and in cost saving decision making for success of any organization. Engagement of top management is rather than just involvement. That is the first point. And then we'll take the second one. Project leaders are veterans and team members or decision makers. Here, before starting any project, the project committee meeting will be held between the project leader of different departments and junior members of the department. Project leaders should have deep knowledge and understanding of their departments and functions and the ability to make decisions for their organization. Project leaders and experienced members of the various cross-functional area should have an awareness of aspects and issues that may rise during project work. In any project, there will be cross-functional issues. Veterans of the organization should understand those issues and be more careful in allocating resources to solve the issues once and for all. Veterans of organization should involve the junior team members in decision making because team members can give a lot of input or minimal changes required in the project that may lead to saving time and effort. Most of the organization do not have the practice of involving junior team members in taking the main decisions. By doing so, valuable time and efforts will be lost. Next, we will go for third parties fill gap in expertise and transfer knowledge. Here, the organization who want to implement PLM would not have veterans or expert persons in the field of PLM. Therefore, seeking the expertise of a third party will definitely fill the missing gap, thereby improving efficiency and reducing the mistakes. Most of the mistakes takes place during development and implementation stages of PLM project. Since the software and other technology that enables PLM is too specialized, the third party resource of PLM might very well be the solution provider who provides the software. The third party expertise will provide solution with easy to these problems that may come across during different stages of the project. Organizations before engaging the third party process consultant to implement their PLM projects must make sure about the knowledge and previous experience in implementing valuable projects. Organizations should ensure that the third party not only help the implementing PLM but also transfer his knowledge regarding PLM. Next one is change management goes in hand with project management. In this PLM is a different way of doing things, especially as it pertains to crossing functional boundaries. Hence, the change management of the new processes and practices that an organization requires need to be closely interlinked with the project management. Once the organization have made mind to implement PLM, the process and practices of organization need to be re-examined and modified in order to make the system work smoothly without any bottlenecks. The organization should look into all perspectives like development of new process, re-evaluation of practice, re-evaluation of practice, assessing the people working with new system and support and this change management should go hand in hand for any organization to be successful. And then final one is the satisfying mindset prevails. The final goal is to improve the overall organizational activities by using different resources. There are so many aspects of PLM that if one focus on optimizing the aspects of it, we are letting out other tremendous opportunities, those we simply do not have attention or resources to attract it. With PLM projects, we need to set goals and attack as many functional areas as possible that can return with improved efficiency. By linking all the functional areas in PLM and effectively utilizing all the resources, we can increase the efficiency and improve overall activities of the organization. That is about the 5 factors is the implementing of this PLM strategy. Next we'll go for introduction to PLM, uh, introduction to PDM systems. The product data management, briefly abbreviated as PDM, appeared as a response to CAD, that is nothing but computer aided design system users demands. A large popularity and mass utilization of these CAD tools in the process of product development caused the generation of huge amounts of data, that may be 2D drawings, 3D models, analysis, as well as specifications, etc., describing a product or component. Accessing these data, searching, updating, forming archives, and exchange of the data presented large problems to the people involved in the product development. This difficulty was overcome with the use of using this product data management is nothing but PDM systems. PDM systems is the use of software to provide a structural way to orderly and effectively store, integrate, manage, and control both product data and process related information in a single centralized system, and make the data information to be available to all peoples in the organization at any time and in the right format. Typical information managed in the PDM system include computer-aided design, data, models, parts information, construction and manufacturing details, material data sheets, cost comparisons, and other product notes and documentation. The PDM thus serves as a central knowledge location for processes and product history, and promotes integration and data exchange among all peoples and business users and interact with products, including project managers, engineers, sales peoples, buyers, and quality assurance teams. Such a system minimizes the time in tracking data and information related to the product, apart from enhancing productivity and collaboration within the organization. The PDM can thus be defined as the function within the PLM that is responsible for creation, management, and publication of the product data. Alternatively, PDM can also be defined as the discipline for controlling information at the right time in the right format during the entire PLM. And then the few common benefits of PDM are listed here. By using PDM, flexibility in operations throughout the organization enhances collaboration within the organization, improves engineering workflow, reduces overall costs. PDM implementation leads to profitability, and then increased management system, reduced order lead time, increased customer satisfaction, reduced time to market, increased production and product quality, better use of people and processes, meeting the increasing external requirements, lifts corporate image in the global scenario. These are the main benefits of using PDM. And then major components of PDM systems. The PDM system mainly consists of the following components: uh, electronic vaults and data repositories, and then set of user functions, a set of utility functions, interfaces, workflow management system, and then finally system administration functionality. We'll discuss one by one. First we'll take electronic vaults. In this uh, PDM system uses an electron vault as repository to store and control all the data related to the product. Some of the data is stored within the vault and some of it can be externally generated. In both cases, users need not know the physical location of data. Instead, they can use PDM to access the product information through password protection. These are two types of data stored in the repository. There are briefly as follows. First one is the product data, another one is metadata. These are the two types of data stored. First one is product data. In product data is produced by various applications as CAD as well as CAE, etc. Examples of this data are 3D models, drawings, specifications, and maintenance records. Another type of data is nothing but metadata. Here metadata is the data about data. PDM system metadata is the data relating to PDM control information. Metadata stores information about data and documents related to the product, recording all the changes, releasing on specific levels and their calculation in the company, thereby allowing for easy data tracking and working with specific data. Next we'll go for second one, the set of user functions. Here user functions are divided into following categories: document management, process and workflow management, product structure management, classification management, project or program management. We'll discuss one by one. First we'll take document management. Here document management together with electronic data vault ensures that the product data is correct and up to date, protected by simultaneous modifications by several users. The data stored in a particular file can be retrieved for any modifications by using a checkout function in the PDM system. and the user can store a modified file back into database by using a check-in function. During the course of data modification, the user can lock the particular file so as to prevent any other users from modifying the same data. However, the data can be used for viewing in read-only mode. Document management maintains the recent data to be available to the user at any time. And then we'll go for process and workflow management. Here, process management defines and manages product configurations, part definitions, relationships between data and data versions. It also controls review and approval processes of product data. This enables PDM to record every step in process. While workflow management is used to control business workflow or processes. Excuse. Next we'll go for product structure management. Here, product structure management facilitates the creation and management of product configuration, part definitions, part relationship attributes, bill of materials, and ability to associate product definition data to parts. Next one we'll go for classification management. Here, classification of parts according to their attributes provides tools for searching and retrieving standard parts and existing product data. This is more efficient than looking parts from manuals and catalogs. It also helps designers and engineers not to reinvent wheel repeatedly. And then last one is project program management. Here, project management provides work breakdown structures and schedules and resources assignment and control. Next we'll go for major element is utility functions. In utility functions, support the user functions mentioned above and also simplify the use of system for users. The various included utility functions are here again in 5 major areas: communication and notification, data transport, data translation, image services, and finally system administration. We will discuss one by one. First, we will take communication and notification. Here, communication and notification function handles communication within PDM system and also provides interfaces to external email system. The automated online notification of critical changes or events to all the concerned people helps to keep everyone informed about the state of the project. And then next we'll go for data transport. Here, data transports provides tools for moving data between system and to and from the other products. And then next one is data translation. Here, data translations provides access to tools that translate data between applications and formats for various display and output devices. Next one is image services. Here, image services provides viewing capability for reviewing and markup capabilities that will enable wider audience than before to participate project easily. And then last one is the system administration. Here, PDM system provides system administrator tools to monitor, customize and manage the systems effectively. And then these functions typically include access and change permissions, authorizations, approval procedures, data backup and security, data archive, user interface layout, adding new functionality, integrating third party applications, application integration, etc. A brief introduction of application integration is provided for better understanding of utility function. Next we'll go for interfaces. Here interfaces is the connection of data and information between different work systems. PDM applications need to share and exchange product data such as part numbers, version numbers, product costs, etc. with other applications in the company. Some interfaces may be provided by the vendor as part of the PDM application, while other may be developed with the application programming interface provided with most PDM applications. The user interface in PDM provides a standard but tailor-made connection for users in order to share and communicate with the data and information related product development. It supports user queries, menu driven and forms driven input and report generation. The system interface in PDM interfaces for programs such as CAD and ERP. ERP is nothing but enterprise resource planning. And the next element is nothing but workflow management system. Here workflow management is a strategy for automating business workflow process by means of a software system. The aim of workflow management is to streamline the components of various office systems by eliminating unnecessary tasks and the costs associated with the performance of those tasks and automating the remaining tasks in the processes. And then last one is system administration functionality. Here the system administration functionality is used to set up and maintain the configuration of the system and to assign and modify access rights. The functionality ensures that the uptime, performance, resources and security of the computers meet the needs of the people related to the product development. Next we'll go for reasons for implementing PDM systems. Here the reasons or purpose of implementing a product data management system is in terms of three category. Here first one is to ensure data integrity, to streamline processes, workflows, and finally to facilitate configuration management. We'll discuss one by one. First we'll take PDM ensures data integrity. Here implementing an effective PDM system is critical because the creation of any new product yields enormous amount of product information which must be documented, edited, reviewed and approved. Automating this documentation process with electronic product data management system software allows people in the organization to more proactively capture and manage critical product information. And then you will take for next one to streamline process workflows. Here PDM system can interact with people both internally and globally, working with product data according to the predetermined processes of an enterprise to achieve cooperative corporate objectives. Repetitive workflows and processes can be programmed as part of PDM system to route data work packages automatically, to control and monitor processes, and to provide management reporting. The PDM system also controls the processes and procedures that manage how changes are proposed, reviewed, and approved and incorporated into a product and its associated data systems. And then last one is to facilitate configuration management. Here, product data management system helps facilitate configuration management and customer satisfaction. Configuration management is a key driver of quality assurance throughout the project or product life cycle. It is the important component of any product data management system. Configuration management is comprised of 5 key areas that include planning, identification, control, status, status accounting, and audits. Product data management software provides a traceability that is necessary to satisfy the ISO standards and the use of configuration management in industry. Next we'll go for financial justification of PDM implementation. Here, in addition to investing time and money in developing new products and improving productivity, working conditions, corporate image, etc., there requires a huge investment in implementing a PDM system also. A frequent question arising from the top level management is regarding the return time and money for implementing a PDM system. And the typical advantage that is that the organizations can gain with PDM system implementation. Hence, there arises a need to justify the implementation of PDM to be profitable. There are two major areas of PDM cost justification to describe. In this includes revenues and benefits. We will discuss one by one. First is cost justification with respect to revenues. This is the one criteria. Another one is cost justification with respect to benefits. First we will discuss about cost justification with respect to revenues. In this reduction in labor cost due to the reduction in the number of working staff and a reduction in cost of materials used in products and energy consumption in the processes, reduction in cost arising from scraps, wastages and in storing or holding products during reworking, repair and returns, reduction in documentation and data transferring costs, and finally reduction in penalty and warranty costs. These are the cost justification with respect to revenues. And then cost justification with respect to benefits. In this increase in the number of customers, PDM allows in developing products for new customers. More customers implies more profits. Increase the product price paid by customers. For example, by increasing product quality, PDM enables customers to be charged increased prices. Increase the range of products that customer can, but for example, by improving product structure management, PDM enables more customer specific variants. Increase in the service price paid by customers, for example by using PDM to support additional services. Increase the range of services that customer buy, for example by using PDM to support additional services. Get customers to pay sooner. PDM enables developing and delivering products faster. These are the main cost justification by using benefits. This completes the model number 1. Finally, thank you for patience listening, and thank you Dr. Fundrika, the main LMS coordinator, principal in Government Engineering College Ramnagara, and then course moderator Dr. D.P. Girish, Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Government Engineering College Ramnagara. Main content developers Dr. Muniraju, Dr. Banjara Kotresha, and Chetan K.S. Thank you.